Howdy, howdy, Sudevil here, and welcome to my video where we're going to discuss how to deal with Doom Flayers. They are the new Skaven chariot unit, and this is another video that comes from a comment. Someone was talking about they're worried about this unit in particular against the Dowie. Chariots have always been strong against the Dowie. And these Doom Flayers are insane. And really, they look like a stronger version of the Gorebeast Chariot. The difference being that if you look at the Gorebeast Chariot, it's 1200. It has a little less health, a little more armor, more leadership, less speed, a more melee attack, and a significantly more melee defense, but a lot less weapon strength. And it actually does have a little less armor when you take into account the Doom Flayer has this armor buff of 24 armor, and it does have this plus 12 speed if it has to get away, but it has a lot less charge bonus. Now, the Gorebeast Chariot is actually pretty difficult to deal with the Dowie too, because it is anti-infantry. It has that infantry bonus of 28. The Doom Flayer I think is 26. Yeah, and when we did our live stream testing against the Skaven army, I went against two Doom Flayers just against the AI, just to see how they felt, and I was really looking at the Jezzails, not the Doom Flayers, and the Doom Flayers were nasty, and did some further testing to see if they could be hit by artillery, and they have a tiny hitbox. So they have a really cool animation where they go and they knock things over, and they're hard to pin down. They're very small, and they have a small hitbox. It doesn't look like you cannot hit them with artillery. So I'll do some testing to show that. But how do you deal with them? Really, we looked at some of the testing we did some testing against Gorebeast Chariots in particular, and the units that really were shining in this test were the lowly miner, our dwarf warrior with great weapons, and our longbeards with great weapons. And then we also looked at how our regular Slayer is going to stand up, Dragonback Slayers, and then now the new and improved, cheaper Giant Slayers. So we'll look at all these, and we'll do a little bit of testing with Iron Drakes. What about Thunders? What about Quarters with great weapons? If they do get to the back line, can their arrows hit them? Maybe we'll see if a cannon can hit them. I'll just demonstrate the cannon and the bolt thrower so you can actually see in this sort of roughed out testing how these Doom Flayers actually perform. So the first things first, the way to go about this is really, I think you need to know what can handle this unit worth 1200 gold. The beauty of the Doom Flayer is it doesn't cause fear and terror. How it doesn't cause fear and terror, I don't know. This thing looks insane. I mean, the artwork on it's incredible. CA did a fantastic job. Doesn't cause fear and terror, c'est la vie. I'll take it. So really, our miners should be able to hold up reasonably well, but we'll start by looking at this fight with the miners, and then we'll add miners until we can beat the Doom Flayers, and then that's sort of how many Doom Flayers do you expect? Well, that's times that by the number of miners you should bring. So we get that there, and we can start to fight. And just, I mean, we'll see the animation on these guys. It is crazy. You'll watch this crazy flipping animation they do, where they do. Look at that! Jeez, Jiminy Crickets, that looks just absolutely brutal. There, they do that spin, and they just knock dwarves everywhere. Oh my god, these are insane. Look at that thing. Like, that looks absolutely like a freaking. Yeah, so they're beating the brakes off our miners, obviously. So we'll just fast forward that and sort of see, do our miners kill any models? And it doesn't look like they're going to. They don't have very good melee defense, but it was pretty decisive defeat. So you can see, you can't even see a stitch of health coming off. They didn't kill any models, and we lost all our miners. So, this is a very straightforward method of empirical testing. We just put in a couple and see about what it's going to take to handle. And again, the fact that they don't cause fear or terror means our lower level troops will be just fine. We don't need any immunity to anything. But put them here, there, and we'll just fast forward it, and we'll see how the Doomflayers do here. But yeah, when they do that little spinny move, they just chuck dwarves everywhere, and they seem to be able to get out. That like I think they struggle a little bit, but didn't seem to be too bad. Like I've done a little bit of testing prior to this, but you can see the miners are taking a definite chunk out of them Doomflayers. That they haven't killed any models, and that's sort of what you really need to do. You really need to kill a model. That's sort of a necessity there, and we're not killing models, but we're definitely bringing them down. Two miners are going to put a chunk in them, but just not killing models. There we go. So based on that, we should see that 3 miners can take them, and you know, really 3 miners is 975 versus 1200 gold, so we're winning that if we can track them down. Having 3 miners, like I would expect 2 Doomflayers, and having 6 miners in your backline just for Doomflayers, not bad, because even if there ends up being no Doomflayers, well, I mean, you can use them to zone out Skaven slaves and, you know, get in the way of other things. So we'll just watch. But yeah, you can see that they seem to be able to get out, which is pretty good. There's a lot of dwarves there, and dwarves do have a bit of increased mass, but they do seem to be able to sort of get out just fine. Did you see that? Knocked one of my dwarves into the pit. Oh my god. So yeah, they don't have a whole lot of problem disengaging. Their animations are fantastic. A beautiful unit and a fun and interesting unit. But a unit really, as the Dowie, you need to be prepared for. Clearly, I think the Jezzails, we demonstrated that they're not as bad as we thought they would be. It is this freaking Doomflayer. Like the Jezzails, I mean, they're not weak, that's for sure. But we can deal with them. These Doomflayers, boy, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. And you can see here our 3 units of miners have handled it, but still haven't killed the model. Still have not killed the model, interestingly enough. But we did it. So 3 units of miners can take a Doomflayer. So if you're looking out to the edge of your battlefield, and you know, and expecting 2 Doomflayers, having 3 miners on each side, each wing, just dedicated to Doomflayer duty. If there is no Doomflayer, you can put them somewhere else. You know, you can redeploy them. So 3 miners can take them, and you look, the miners ended up with more than half their troops remaining. So that 900 gold, they essentially, I'm going to say, had 450 gold left, and around there. And the Doomflayers were defeated. So, the Doomflayer's health is not showing up. So, go on to the next large unit. So we know 3 miners can take them. Let's take a look at our Dwarf Warriors. Dwarf Warriors are actually probably our best overall statted unit in these 3. And they've showed up best in testing as well, compared to miners and longbeards. But we'll just see how they do. Of course, they don't have charge defense against large, which these Doomflayers are. They are a large entity. But they're losing right away, but they're going to take a little bit of chunk of health out of that Doomflayer. You know, obviously better than 1 miner by quite substantially. Like one group of miners barely took a dent out of them at all. And you can see that these Dwarf Warriors really are doing much better, but they're much more expensive. I mean, that's a 500 gold unit. So, decisive defeat. Let's go grab another Dwarf Warrior and see how we do. Now, really, we should see 2 Dwarf Warriors are worth 1,000. The 3 miners are worth 975. The 2 Dwarf Warriors should be able to handle this fight. Should be able to handle this fight, really. Oops. All right.
Dwarf warriors!
Yeah, you get in there, boys. So, you know, these Doomflayers are very, very good. You know, it's not a bad idea to get good at dealing with chariots, because you always deal with them anyways. I mean, sometimes chariots sort of go in and out of the meta, but they're always going to be a good unit against the Dao. They just always are. The chariots are good against the dwarfs, especially more than any other faction, because the Dao are fairly static. But yeah, you can see those Doomflayers again and again. They have no problems disengaging. Not any real big problems. But the two Dwarf Warriors look like they're handling it. I don't think it doesn't quite look like they're handling it as nicely, as completely as the 3 miners. So maybe the 3 miners are actually better. So still no models killed. So end that battle. Now they had more than half left. I guess it's really close. Really close. The Dwarf Warriors with great weapons and the miners. So we're going to go look at our Longbeards with great weapons. And Longbeards with great weapons, the one advantage Longbeards with great weapons have is charge defense against large. That is the one singular advantage that they do have.
Longbeards!
So we'll just wait. Battle. And let them come in. So we'll see how our group of Longbeards do. And our Longbeards should be able to hit them. But it looks like they're taking a ton of damage from those Doomflayers, because the Doomflayers are armor piercing, and so the Longbeard's great armor doesn't matter so much. But yeah, I mean, they're taking a good chunk out of them. Looks like think they're winning. It's close with one group of Longbeards with great weapons. Ooh boy. It's real close. I think the Doomflayers are gonna. Nope. Longbeards are gonna win. Nope, we lost. Extremely close with one group of Longbeards. So there we go. Our one group of Longbeards still did not kill any, but for sure, you add one group of miners with that group of Longbeards, and actually you get the benefit of of having an extra unit to muck them up. But the Longbeard would encourage the miner. Now, there's a case to be made for 3 miners being better, just because they can cover more ground, and those Doomflayers are fast enough to get around. But it is what it is. So one Longbeard can almost do it. 2 Longbeards for sure would have no problem with that Doomflayer. But now 2 Longbeards are worth 1,500. Doomflayers worth 1,200. Really, the Doomflayers really just got to kite those Longbeards, and they're winning that battle. So let's go and take a look at Slayers. Grab some Slayers, and we'll get them into a fight with those Doomflayers. Now, the problem with the Slayers in this case is that the Doomflayers have 124 armor. They start with 100, but as soon as they're in melee combat, they have that thing that gives them 24 more, right? Yeah, 24. So they'll have 124 armor. And even though the Slayers have a fantastic weapon strength and have that anti-large bonus, they don't have any armor piercing. And you can see the Doomflayers are in combat here, and they think they're doing just fine against those Slayers, and they seem to be winning that on the health right now. Though the Doomflayers did get himself a chevron. Oh, the Slayers might win this. It's close. I'm gonna say they won with 14 Slayers left. So one group of Slayers had hardly 417 health left. They did kill one model, and they managed to get the job done. So a basic group of Slayers can do it. A 900 gold can take down them Doomflayers. Let's take a look at our Dragonback Slayers. Dragonback Slayers should have no problem taking this thing out, but our Dragonback Slayer is now the same price, or very close to it. But Dragonback Slayers are such a strong unit because they have that slow. And we'll take a look at how much they slow them by as well. what's the Doomflayer speed is 72. So they should slow them to about what, 60? Okay, let's see. Doomflayer's speed is 47. Well, there we go. How much does that slow them by? 36%. Okay, I looked at 22%. Killed them up, no problem. You can see that didn't kill. I don't think killed the model. Nope. But managed to get them down. 3,200 health, about half health. So your Dragonback Slayers can get the job done against your Doomflayers, and that's how you're going to bring a lot for a lot of things anyways. So your Dragonback Slayers can definitely get the job done if you can catch them. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you, if you're facing a really good player, they're never going to let you get Slayers onto a Doomflayer. Never. They'll just kite you. But, you know, it is what it is. Okay, so Dragonback Slayers can crush the Doomflayer. Let's go and take a look at our Giant Slayers. Now, this is actually precisely what our Giant Slayers are meant to do, is kill things like this. Because now Giant Slayers are cheaper. So Giant Slayers are the same price as same price exactly of the Doomflayer. But these are armor-piercing anti-large. They have that massive 30 bonus versus large. So they're going to be hitting. They're going to be, melee attack is going to be 80. And they're going against 20 melee defense. You know, plus 35. Essentially, they hit. They're going to be hitting 90% of the time. And plus, they got their initial charge bonus of 32. Yeah, they're just every time. Every dwarf is going to hit this Doomflayer 90% of the time.
Slayers!
So this should go pretty quick. And we saw this too when we did this fight against the Gorby's Chariot. It was very, very quick, but we took a bit of damage on there. But as soon as those things stop at all, you can see how fast their health just absolutely tanks, and boom, they're gone. Really, really quick, but we're sort of half health. So it's expensive, but boy, you can get them down quick. Now, the speed there matters, because if you can't get your Giant Slayers on them, one thing you can certainly do is pin those Doomflayers down with 2 runes of Wrath and Ruin, a Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin, and a normal rune of Wrath and Ruin, and get them down to sort of like 10 speed, and that will allow the Giant Slayers to get in there and get some work done. So Giant Slayers are win that fight very handily, and they did kill a model, and you know, they got a chevron out of it. I mean, they're just really, your Giant Slayers, this is what they're meant for, right? These Doomflayers have 124 armor. They bypass all of that armor and just kick the crap out of them. So that is what your Giant Slayers are meant for. But that, you know, it's going to be hard to get Giant Slayers onto the Doomflayers. Anyone who's playing the Doomflayers are not going to let them anywhere near Slayers. It's not easy to get that matchup, even though that'd be very devastating. Now, the Giant Slayers we know are going to be vulnerable to Jezzails, right? Or anything that's long range, or even like freaking Skaven slaves. So, let's take a look, just for curiosity. We'll do a quick one with some bolt throwers, and I'm just going to do that. So we can see I got 4 bolt throwers, and these things are really, really hard to hit. They are just extremely hard to hit. And we'll see if our 4 bolt throwers can kill a model before it gets to them. So let's just go here. Okay, start battle.
No need to guard.
Yeah.
Stop.
So these are really, really hard to hit, and we saw this in our live stream testing that we couldn't hit the damn thing. Well, I got a couple of hits in there. Yeah, I think we have 4 batteries of artillery shooting at these things, and they're anti-large, and these things are large, and they're armor-piercing. Yeah, armor-piercing anti-large. They are really hard to hit. Get another volley in. Well, got him. Got him, and got one right before he got there. That was with 4. So that's like 2,200 gold versus 1,200 gold. Okay, So end that battle. So not very cost effective, but they got it done. So let's go and take a look at the king of artillery. Where are you? So let's try and do something a little closer to a potential reality. That's 2 at 800. That's 1600 gold versus 1200. See if 2 cannons can. Cannons are actually good at staggering things, but I didn't see these Doomflayers get staggered at all. They just kept on going. Now this is what gyrocopters should do. Gyrocopters shouldn't get staggered either. They should just keep on going. They're armor, right? They're pure armor. Okay. So let's see if our cannons at 1600 gold worth can take out one of these Doomflayers. Boom, boom. See, no staggers. No staggers. You see that? We got another cannon coming in, but they did take a chunk of health off, but they weren't staggered at all. Nope. No staggers. They just keep on rolling. This is much like what a gyrocopter should do. They're all hitting the center one, so it should blow up. Are they gonna hit? No. So only 1600 gold. Didn't do quite as good as the their Doomflayers are gonna be in their element now and just crush them. Obviously they didn't do quite as good as the bolt throwers. Bolt throwers had 2200 gold versus 1600 gold for cannons. If we had added another cannon, I'm sure they would have done quite a bit better. But really, we're just looking at what's going to do the job. I mean, I could try an organ gun. I mean, that's 2200 gold again. We could see if that's going to get the job done. But the thing is, they're not anti-large, but they are armor piercing. They only have 300 range. Like, they don't even have as much range as the let's see, let's put them there. Okay. Okay, you shoot. They're not hitting. Not even hitting at all. Wow. Alright. So we know how that ends. Yep. In battle. What about if we have just a group of dwarf warriors in front and we have let's call it 2 iron drakes behind that group of dwarf warriors. See what 2 iron drakes can do with some focus fire on these damn Doomflayers. Because iron drakes have a ton of DPS. They are armor piercing and they are anti-large. So we'll put our dwarf warriors just right in front.
Iron Drakes!
Okay.
Our fire undimmed!
Okay.
Iron Drakes!
Okay, let's just see. I just want to get a shot in here. I just want to see what it looks like when they're hit them. They'll get one volley in and that's it. See, it's hard to hit them. They're just going to go right through. Boom. Yep. Therein lies the problem. Now you spin around and start mucking them all about. So, you know, and from here on out, it's just, oops, not going to go well. So, you know, your Iron Drakes, you get 4 in there, even though it means cancel. Let's just resume the battle. But like these guys,
Ready! Yes!
you know, just not easy to get shots on those things. They did kill one though. You know, maybe having an Iron Drake present in the back just as a deterrent. You know, it's gonna take a few shots. That's 2 Iron Drakes going after this thing. Well, he's taking some point blank shots here.
I will not rest until my axe is blunted.
Yeah, I won't rest until my axe is blunted either. I'm gonna quit that battle. End the battle. Not too bad. Let's see. What if we have a full front line of Thunderers? Can they put enough stopping power into one of those Doom Flayers before they arrive? We're gonna test the quarters with great weapons too. I think that is important.
Thunderers!
Okay.
Night Garden!
Are we there? Okay, there we go.
Shoot!
Just see. They're gonna put some damage on them for sure. 4 gets them down to half. Not quite. 32. And down to gets them down more than a third. But now a little last samurai action, and now the rest is really difficult. Can they hit them while they're sitting there? They can. So interesting. You saw these guys were shooting, these guys were shooting, these guys are shooting. So even though they're short, they look pretty damn short. Your Thunderers can shoot over. So I'm gonna just do something here. I'm gonna end this battle. End battle. I want to see if I can get one Thunder here and just get some 3 Dwarf Warriors. I just want to see if that Thunder ever loses line of sight on those Doom Flayers. Because if it doesn't, it might be the answer. If your Thunders can always shoot.
Dwarf Warriors!
Okay.
Axes out, lads!
Okay. Like this.
They have wronged us!
Okay. Start.
No need to guard!
All right.
Fire! Reload! Fire!
We shooting? Yep. We sure are. Not getting a ton of damage with one. I mean, 4902, sort of 200 damage. Now the fight begins. Are we going to shoot some more? No.
Lord of vengeance!
Shoot. Obstructed.
Honored!
Yeah. Obstructed. Okay, so I thought there would be these would be short enough that they could get some free shots. Like, I'm pretty sure our Thunders could take free shots nonstop if it was an actual tall Doom meal. For sure, something like that. Okay, well, it is what it is. In battle. Now, what about Rangers with great weapons? Let's try them. Yeah. The one thing the Rangers with great weapons can do is do a lot of damage when these guys get in here. That's just like the Quarrels with great weapons. In our testing, they're surprisingly good at least getting some damage in, you know. Okay, let's just. Okay, there.
The Dowie, you ready?
Okay, shoot.
Pick your targets well! Yes! Yes!
So getting some damage in. One volley did quite a bit. Now if I get all these guys just to attack.
Axes out!
You can see they can get some damage done there. That's not awful, is it? Not awful. Okay, that's with the Ulthar's Raiders. The Ulthar's Raiders here. So let's see. I'm going to say they did a pretty damn good job. A, of getting some damage in before they got there, even though it was only one volley. And B, of fighting once they got in there. So let's just try. Just the 2 regular. We know Ulthar's Raiders are amazing. So we're going to try the 2 regular Rangers with great weapons, and see A, if they get a shot in, then if they can defeat the Doom Flayers in melee once the Doom Flayers are in. And when this is still, these guys are 1,300 gold together. They're 650 apiece. I mean, they're not. We're not winning the value race here.
Let the vengeance
But,
begin.
you know, we should be able to get that one shot in. Yeah, there we go. And
Getting close.
let's get in there and fight. Got a good enough chunk of damage. Our rangers are a little bit quicker too, hey? Well, it's gonna be close. I'm gonna say that's not too bad at all. Get in there, boys. Oh, well, we lost, but it was close. So, maybe, in case of bringing rangers with great weapons, Ulthar's raiders, again, I mean, every time, the thing is, they have a lot more damage. They have that 58 missile damage as opposed to 45. It's really it's a big chunk. Well, what about quarters with great weapons? We got 2 quarters with great weapons. Can they get the job done? You know, against that Doom Flayer. You're not going to get a lot of work done with their missiles. Why would you bring them in there? Well, I mean, why would you bring in a quarter into this fight? I think you could argue that you know, quarter does have lots of ammo, and they could, if there was rat ogres, if there was something with a little bit less armor, like frontline stuff, they could at least get a little damage in.
Bring out the axes.
You know, they got a little, but not much. So we'll call that not great, but they do have armor piercing damage. Yeah, these Doom Flayers look like they're gonna kick the snot out of them. They're gonna, I don't know, they're hitting them. It's not great, but at least they're doing something. Hey, that is 1,200 gold worth of quarters versus a 1,200 gold Doom Flayer. There we go. Well, Doom Flayer seemed to win that fairly handily. Last thing I could possibly think of is a couple of gyrocopters with brimstone guns. Could a couple of gyrocopters with brimstone guns do any kind of damage before they got to our dwarf warrior? That is the question. Okay, we're asking this question. Can gyrocopters do any damage, any reasonable amount of damage, before they get to our dwarf warriors? So let's just see. I don't know why these guys are going this way, but I didn't even hit them. Hit him that time. 200 damage. Not awful. Not awful. What are these guys doing? I mean, we're getting some damage in, but they're sitting still. This is really strange. I mean, it seems like a lot of damage, but they're sitting. These damn things are sitting still. A little buggy there, I guess. Unfortunately, we don't get to see that precisely. I guess let's do that again. I have an idea. We'll do that again. I have an idea. Now, that's the problem with gyrocopters is they are very vulnerable to Jezzails now. Like that really, those Jezzails change this matchup completely in so many ways, because the Jezzails can knock the gyros out of the sky, and we saw that in our testing. All right, So now he's going to be a hard time hitting them. We did a little bit of damage. Yeah. I mean, they got a buff to their missile damage. Where's their third one? Oh, there it is. I don't know. Like that hit by artillery sure does hurt them. If we rear charge them right now, that would get them. Okay, there they go. Thing is, we're 105 speed. They are only 81 speed, so we should be able to rear charge them without much of a problem. Just out of curiosity, are we going to do any damage to them? Nope. Nope. No, we're just chasing them. All right. Doom Flayers. Anything else we want to test against them? You know, flame cannon, no point. Grudge sword, no point. No, nothing here. I mean, we could look at Iron Drakes. Iron Drakes are really good, but Iron Breakers. You know, I would think an Iron Breaker. Well, let's see. Can Iron Breakers take them or not? I would think Iron Breakers should be able to take them. I could be wrong. So Iron Breakers have a lot of mass and charge defense against all. So these Doom Flayers are going to stop dead once they get to our Iron Breakers. Okay. Let's just see what this impact looks like. Yeah. Oh, he got in there. Iron Breakers are giving them the business, but yes, and see, they are not going to get through our Iron Breakers real easy. And Iron Breakers have 68 melee defense, mind you. They have 26 plus, what is it, 25? 26 plus 26. 52 melee attack. Yeah, they're going to hit our Iron Breakers pretty frequently. So our Iron Breakers that I want, them in melee mode. I want them to chase them down. Well, they think they're winning, and it looks like they're gonna. Maybe it's all that extra armor. So our Iron Breakers have very little armor piercing. You can see the added mass of the Iron Breakers. Like, what should happen is our Iron Breakers should, as they both get more and more tired, our Iron Breakers should do better and better. It looks like that is the case. Yeah, Iron Breakers think they're winning. Doom Flayers, yeah. Yeah, this is not going to go quickly. The Iron Breakers should win it. I think. It's just going to take a long time. Because the more tired they get, the more the Dowie advantage plays out. I mean, I could use my charge defense against all and not move every time they ran away, and that would probably improve things. But I just want this fight to go quite quickly. Oh yeah, Iron Breaker's gonna win that for sure. You can see they get really, really low on health. They still have all three of their models, and away they go. Iron Breakers win. Okay. Out of curiosity, can Hammers win that fight? My gut would tell me no. Mind you, Longbeard's almost won that, so the Hammer should crush. Yeah, the Hammer should crush in this, really. If the Longbeard's almost won, Hammer should crush. Really. They're just going to get tossed around a little bit, so. Yeah, there they go. but they're going to hit them every single time. They're going to do a massive amount of damage every time they hit them. So they should chew right through them. It's not exactly chewing right through them, but getting some damage in. Yeah, they're definitely winning. So and they've killed one model too. Makes a pretty big deal. Not like they have a massive amount of health left. They're gonna have what, 1/3 of their health? Not quite. Killed another model. They won, but not by much. Definitely close, and I guess that is advantage dwarfs, right? Because that's an 1100 gold unit beating a 1200 gold unit, and they had, you know, more than a third of their troops left, even though they didn't have their health. I don't know. So we're gonna see Doom Flayers. They're good. Better than Gorby's chariots against the Dowie, probably. They're smaller, harder to hit. That's for damn sure. And they're faster. That's probably also makes them harder to hit. What do the dwarfs have against them? I mean, really, the ultimate and anti-chariot is the giant slayers, and they're the same price. The problem would be, can you get them into a position where your giant slayers can execute that attack? And your giant slayers are very vulnerable to all missiles, but they do the job and they do it amazing. Second choice, I would say, is dragonback slayers, as far as getting the job done quickly. You know, they're a good unit to have in the back, no matter what. And then as a singular unit that can get the job done is just your regular slayers. Now, 3 units of miners, you know, you think they're gonna have 2 of those Doom Flayers, right? You think, well, it's probably they're probably coming like that, and they might even come with their regiment of renown. Having 6 units of miners in your backline, it's not actually a bad thing, because even if they don't, those extra units can be tossed in a lot of places. Whereas if they don't bring anything large and armored, they've completely mitigated your giant slayers. While it's highly unlikely, I would say that it is a possibility. You know, I don't mind that, and I don't mind the idea of having just a 2-unit flank like that. Your other flank is like this. You know, slightly more expensive, but much better, and that encourage from your longbeards is good in other ways. And your longbeards can take the charge, so they have charge defense against large. As far as the ranged units, you know, arrows did nothing. But our quarters with great weapons did take a chunk out of them. It's a consideration. Thunders, not bad. There are other units Thunders can do great against too. I'm like Rangers, quarters, probably not the greatest in this matchup. Uthar's Raiders, phew, they are so good. They're good in every matchup you get them into. They do so much damage. Mark White Ulthar could be pretty key if you had another unit going with them. Iron Drakes, it's going to be hard because this is exactly like we just were going against the AI, but against a person, they're going to take this is exactly what they're coming after with their Doom Flayers. They're bringing their Doom Flayers into your backline, and they're going to come after your Trollhammer torpedoes. You know, but you know, maybe you make a backline like this, 2 Trollhammer torpedoes, and 1 Giant Slayer backing them up. You know, and that's sort of your backline. So if they don't come to you and your Trollhammer torpedoes just go to town, happy day for you. If they do come from you, your Giant Slayers can get rid of them incredibly fast and protect your Trollhammer torpedoes. So maybe that's an option. You know, doesn't seem too bad. You know, kind of the cheaper version of this is a couple of Thunders and, you know, and I would say probably your Dragonback Slayers for the slow, which is going to be a little bit dangerous and still slightly cheaper, maybe a little bit more utility, a little bit, you know, with a little bit more range. Yeah. Yeah, those, I'm going to say, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to these Doomflayers in the tournament, how good they did, to be honest, because I was looking at the Warplock Jezzails and this Natty Boobo sharpshooters, which looked amazing because they have, you know, silver shields, 70 armor, they have shield breaker, armor piercing, and they have stealth and stalk. I thought, oh my god, this is the perfect anti-Dowie unit. Turns out they're good, but they're not as amazing as I thought they were going to be. These Doomflayers, though, way better than I thought it would be. How about Dwarf Gouger here? This one, what's this one Doomflayer called? Dwarf Gouger, right? Yeah, Dwarf Thing Menace. There we go. Anti-infantry, and it is sundered. It sunders armor. 26 bonus versus infantry. Yeah. Maybe you're gonna see a dwarf like I could, you know, if I'm lining up to be a real dick, I'm gonna bring these three, plus probably the Natty Boobo sharpshooters, just so I can shoot from the back. And I might bring some, you know, some cheap slingers or something like that. Or where's it? Warp? Let me see. Night Runner slings. Yeah, 140 range. You bring a couple of those to go after Slayers. And you have some suppression with Natty Boobo sharpshooters. Like, that would be unpleasant to face, you know. And I don't know. I mean, everyone brings Quick Head Taker, but I mean, if you really want to be thematic, don't you want to bring Ikit Claw and put him on a Doomflayer? And you know, he has some abilities that would be all right, right? Unlimited power. Yeah, Musketeer minus 13 melee attack every time he. Oh man, that's really good. But yeah, you could easily get a bunch of Skaven slaves, bunch of clan rats, and now you filled out a pretty nice lineup. You know, maybe bring in a couple of Death Runners, and man, that's going to be unpleasant. 449. Maybe you got another couple Skaven slave slingers for Slayers, just to bring her around back, and that's not going to be a fun army to fight. Oh, and he's got all his spells yet. Oh, my Skitter Leap, Crack Skull, no. Scorch, no. Death Frenzy, yeah. Howling Warp Gale, no. Warp Lightning, sure. And major magical damage. Effective at all range of magic missiles? Probably not. 627. Well, let's see. So you can bring something for 1,000? No. You know, maybe you just bring an extra group of Death Runners to stick in that line. Yeah, I can see that being a pretty, not a real fun army to face, for sure. No matter what you bring, I can see that not being pleasant. Gonna be debuffed by 13 melee attack, so these slaves and clan rats are gonna last forever. But you know, building out an army. Really, am I gonna bring giant slayers to that fight? It's probably not an awful idea, is it? You know, whoops. I almost do like the idea of one giant slayer. One giant slayer and, you know, even a couple of thunders. Just for a little bit of range. And then a couple of bolt throwers in that back line to go after their Jezzails. And then you can start building out front line. Some minor blasting charges, Dwarf Warriors. Yeah. You get a Rune Lord. And a Rune Smith. Yeah, it's starting to look not too bad. A couple of longbeards to fill in. You have 4 more, 1900. Yeah, it's not entirely awful. I don't mind the idea of getting a couple extra miners for that back line, just to help fill things in, and you can get those Ulthar's Raiders. You have room for one more at 500. You probably just yeah. No, I wonder if you can get everybody here. Yeah, I think you'd want to upgrade something here. Yeah, maybe upgrade 2 of these guys to actual longbeards. Yeah, that looks a little more like it. Oops. There. You sort of get a lineup kind of like that. I think we talked about that lineup in our live stream, really, to get something like that. But Giant Slayers might be a one of must pick, at least the Dragonback Slayers. But you know, you can slow them down with your Rune Lord and your Runesmith, so your Giant Slayers could get there. If you have your Thunders and your Bolt Throwers sort of in the back line, that gives them a reason to try and get to your back line. You have plenty of chaff. Some miners with blast charges are going to get the job done in slowing things down on the way there. You do have some longbeards with great weapons and some extra miners to get in the road. And Ulthar's Raiders really can help burn things down pretty quick. And you can replace those Ulthar's Raiders with a couple of things for sure. But yeah, those Doomflayers are going to be a struggle. It's not because the Dowie don't have tools to get this done, because clearly we do got the tools, right? Clearly the Dowie do have those tools. I wonder if I can 856. I was just going to see if I could get something else, but I'm going to do this just out of curiosity. Can I get one group of Iron Drakes in there? That might be a little bit more enticing to get them to get them to want to come in and see if the water's warm, right? And then we've got 1200, so we could have a couple more. 600. Maybe we would have the Ekron's miners there for fun. I can build that out. Definitely want to hear your experiences with Doomflayers online. Boy, they look tough, really, to be honest. I have to rebuild sort of my army to match up. I have to think about this. I think the Giant Slayer might be a real key unit in this matchup. Just the more I think about it, because if you can pin them guys for even 15 seconds, that's all it takes. Giant Slayers will mow them down. You just got to protect your Giant Slayers. So really, Giant Slayers are key. Having a few extra miners to slow those things down will be important, but yeah, I'd say that's sort of that. Anyways, I think I tested pretty much everything that was important against those Doomflayers in this, and really, Dragonback Slayers, Giant Slayers, or 3 miners, 2 Dwarf Warriors, or 2 Longbeards, or can take a Doomflayer. You know, it's all about the armor piercing. Our artillery, I wouldn't shoot artillery at them Doomflayers ever. They are hard to hit. It's even hard to hit with Iron Drakes. So, yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Love to hear from your thoughts. And if you fought against them, if you fought against Doomflayers and you have a replay, I'd love to see it. Absolutely love to see that. And I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. I love comments. I always ask for comments because it's sort of my favorite thing about doing this. Very satisfying. And this video has come about completely because of a comment on Yeah, looking at Doom players like, oh man, I think they're gonna be scary. I'm like, yeah, actually, I agree with you. They are scary. They're not gonna be fun because yeah, the thing is, you have to be able to pin them down and get some damage to them. So that's how it is. So, anyways, hope you found it interesting, and I will see you soon.